Hey everyone, it's Mr. Anderson back with you again. Today we're going to talk about section 9.1.4 from our CP/M Common Core Algebra book, and our goal today is to talk about what strategy we might use and when we might use it to solve a quadratic equation. Okay, I've put together some preliminary notes with a couple different options here that our textbook publisher puts out. We've got kind of three items that we've covered so far in the way of solving, and they are the zero product property and completing the square and the quadratic formula. Okay, and as far as when to use them goes, the zero product property is great when you have things that looked factorable or they have nice numbers. Now, experience is what's going to teach you those things, right? So if you haven't tried using the zero product property and tried factoring and gotten good at it, then maybe that's not for you. Okay. The other thing, and the third item here is worth mentioning. If you get something that's already factored, use the zero product property if it's equal to zero, because it's a gimme at that point. Completing the square is probably the most labor intensive method here. If it doesn't look easily factorable, go ahead and complete the square. And completing the square is easiest when you've got your x squared coefficient equal to 1 and your x coefficient, your linear term coefficient, is even, right? Because we've got to cut that in half, right? And that just means we won't have to deal with a fraction at that point, okay? And then finally, the quadratic formula, number one, always works, right? Completing the square always works as well. The factoring doesn't, just FYI. It works when you have rational coefficients, larger ugly numbers, right? Again, if those numbers don't look like they're going to be kind to you, go ahead and use the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is also really, really nice for students to show their work. If they make a mistake, it's usually pretty easy to go back and identify where that is in the quadratic formula. It's a very work and detail-oriented process, so it's usually pretty easy to help students with the quadratic formula. The fourth option that our textbook doesn't advocate for is graphing, right? Graphing we can solve by graphing. We can see those roots graphically, but that's really only an option when you have technology, because otherwise graphing is at best an estimate, okay? So I tell students, if you have a tool like Desmos, go ahead and graph, but it's tough to get Desmos to show the work for you. So if you're asked to show the work, you have to probably go with one of these other options. Graphing is super helpful when you're checking your answer, right? So if you use one of these other three and you want to check by graphing, it's a great tool. And then if you have to graph by hand, only use graphing when it's okay to have an estimate, okay? The reality of it is, ladies and gentlemen, if you were working on a test or a quiz and it said use one of these options, go with that option, because that's what your teacher's looking for. Okay, if you have a choice though, maybe you just want to pick the one that you're most comfortable with. Okay, we're going to look at several options here, and the options we're going to look at are, excuse me, the options we're going to look at are quadratic equations in different forms, and we are going to decide, or we're going to talk about which one we would try first, right? And this is the key. This word is key because it may not work. Okay, so what I'm going to ask for is, in a situation when solving a quadratic, diligence or resilience. Because guess what, folks? Like, you might have to try and try again in order to get an answer, right? Okay, so in something like letter A, right, I would go ahead and factor and use the zero product property, because I can see already that there's two factors of 27, 9 and 3, that add up to 12. And so I would go ahead and factor letter A, factor and use the zero product property, because that just speaks to me, okay? Letter C, this thing is already in factored form, equal to 0, okay? So again, no need to factor, just go with the zero product property here, and I think you're going to find something really gosh darn nice, okay? Letter E, sorry, and I know I'm going out of order here. Letter E, this thing's not in standard form. So the thing I might do first is this. Okay, and then I realize, gosh, I can't think of any factors of 5 that add to -2. So this thing's not going to be factorable. So I would either complete the square or I'd use the quadratic formula. I'd probably, because I'm a little bit more comfortable with it, I'd probably go with the quadratic formula here. Okay? Moving over here to letter B, we'd have to, again, move this over and do a little bit of math. I'd get 0.5x squared, and then let's see, plus 9x, and then let's see, that's going to work out to be plus 3.2. Again, I'm getting it equal to 0 first before I do anything here, and I see that I have those decimal or rational coefficients, so probably going to go quadratic formula here. Okay, again, just to make my life easier, because 0.5, 1/2, that's just not the most comfortable thing to try to do any factoring with, right? Next one, D, I got to move the 8 over, right? So it's going to become negative 8x, and then I got to move the 4 over to become positive and put it with the 12. So this is going to be x squared, and then let's see, minus 8x, and then plus 16. Oops, 16. Again, equal to 0. Now here's what I know. I know that negative 16, negative 4 and negative 4 multiply to be negative 16, and they add to be negative 8. So I'd probably, for this one, I'd factor and then use the zero product property, okay? Last one of these, I've got 20x squared, and then this has got to come over and go with that, and this is going to come over and stand alone, so it's going to be minus 32x, and then minus 45 equals 0. Okay, so there it is in standard form. Look at all the factors of 20 that we'd have, right? Look at all the factors of 45. I know that 20 and 45 are reasonably nice numbers, and I know I could factor out a 5, but I can't factor out a 5 of 32. So, gosh darn it, I might just go ahead and go with the quadratic formula. And then, oops, quadratic. You gotta spell it right, Anderson, sorry. Quadratic formula, and then start to embrace the opportunity to use my calculator for doing some work there. Okay, I'm not going to solve each and every one of these things for the sake of this video, because I do want to get down to something we are going to be working on, where we are going to do some solving. We've got an expression here, I'm sorry, an equation, and the equation looks like this, and Kyle decided that x must be equal to 5 or negative 2, because Kyle tried to use the zero product property, set it equal to 0, and solve. Not so fast, exclaims Stanton. The product does not equal 0. You need to change the equation first. What is Stanton talking about? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you are only allowed to use the zero product property when it's equal to 0. It's not called the negative 6 product property, right? Here, we've got the equation equal to negative 6. That's not what it's called. It's the zero product property. So we've got to do some work to get this thing in standard form equal to 0 first. So that's what I'm going to start to do here in letter B. And the work isn't hard, okay, but it is going to require just a tiny bit of, effort on my part. And you'll see here, as I do it, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to zoom in now, and I'm going to FOIL this thing. So x times x is x squared, x times 2 is 2x, and then negative 5 times x is negative 5x, and then negative 5 times 2 is negative 10, and I keep it equal to negative 6. Okay, now I combine my like terms, x squared, 2 and negative 5 make negative 3x minus 10 equals negative 6, and now I'm going to move this negative 6 over to the other side, and it becomes x squared minus 3x, and then minus 4 equals 0. So there we go. We've got that function, or I'm sorry, that equation in standard form. I've got a of 1, a b of negative 3. I've got a c of negative 4. I can already think of factors of negative 4 that add up to negative 3. So what I'm doing is I'm giving myself an opportunity to use the quadratic formula or use the factorization method there in the zero product property. And it doesn't matter to me at this case which way you would go, right? I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to factor this thing. I'm going to say that, this factors into x minus 4 and x plus 1 equals 0. Okay, and then I'm going to get, if I zero product property this, I get x equals 4. And I know I'm going quick through this, folks, so I can show you a couple things. Or I get x equals negative 1. Okay? Alternatively, I can say a equals 1, b equals negative 3, and c equals negative 4. And I can solve that way. I can say x equals negative b, which is negative 3, plus or minus square root of b squared, which is negative 3 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 4, all divided by 2a. Okay, and I work this out. This is negative 3, which is positive 3, plus or minus the square root of 3 squared is 9, 4, 4, 16. This works out to be 25 divided by 2. Square root of 25 is 5, so I get 3 plus or minus 5 divided by 2. Let's break this apart real fast. And again, I know I'm speeding, so pause and slow down if you need. 3 plus 5 over 2. 3 minus 5 over 2. 3 and 5 make 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Ding, ding, ding. That matches what we see over on that other side. Okay? And then 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. There we go. There's both of those solutions. That's working out pretty gosh darn well. Okay, now here's what they do in Part D. And here's where the graphing alternative comes in. It says, use the graph and table on your graphing calculator to check and see whether Kyle's solution matches Part C. Now here's what we're going to do. We're not going to use a graphing calculator. We're going to use the feature provided at by our friends at Desmos.com in the Desmos graphing calculator. And I'm just going to enter the original function that was it Kyle? That Kyle gave us in factored form, but it's not going to be equal to negative 6. It's going to be equal to y, so it's graphable. Now check this out. Okay, Desmos.com. No need for a login here. All right, just click on the graphing calculator, and I just type in y equals. I can enter it in factored form. X minus 5, and then x plus 2. Okay, and it graphs it up. Okay, and we know our solutions are 4 and negative 1. Now, we've seen solutions right here on the roots, but that's when it was equal to 0. Remember, it wasn't equal to 0. So what in the heck do we do here? And this is where the graphing feature really, really helps. And to do this by hand would not provide you with a worthy answer. But to do it with a Desmos tool or a graphing calculator tool does. Watch what happens. And I'm just going to show you this. When we go back, right? So I've already graphed this. Sorry about this. Grab a new color for my highlighter. We've already graphed this side of the original equation. Now watch what happens when we graph this side, okay? Because this is where the cool things maybe show up, okay? I can go like this, and I can just graph y equals negative 6. And now, let's turn it red too. Maybe we'll turn it red. There we go. Now let's look for that point of intersection. I'm going to darken this up a little bit for you guys, okay? Look for those points of intersection here. And when I click on them, do you recognize those? Look at those x coordinates. Look at those x pieces of those coordinates. I get negative 1 and 4. And that is identifying exactly what we identified here in our solutions algebraically. X is 4 and x is negative 1. Look at this. Right here, x is 4. Right here, x is negative 1. We can see this in the table as well. Remember, you can install a table into each function by clicking on the settings and adding a table. And now, if I go down here and I continue this, right, I can already see x equals negative 1, and it confirms what we think the value is negative 6. But if I go down here and I extend this to C4, I can see that negative 6 as well, right? So there is your connection between the algebra and the graphing. We've got the factoring over here. Not everything's factorable, so this not always going to work. I've got the quadratic formula over here. This will always work, okay? And now we connected that to the graph, right? So you can see that connection on the graph, and now we know what that looks like for the purposes of solving, okay? Had to go a little bit different with the algebra in terms of I had to get it equal to 0 first. The graph did not require me to do that, okay? But our solutions definitely match. Our algebraic and graphical solutions match. Folks, a little bit of review preview for you here. It is not the longest review preview assignment in the world, but it is going to have you trying a couple of concepts multiple times, and the goal is to, if there are any weaknesses or deficiencies, to expose what those are and get us asking questions. So if you're running into difficulties, do not hesitate to ask. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Have a great day.